Welcome to the News Hour once again. We start with our big story on the resumption of schools this coming week, as schools across the Federal Capital Territory are set to reopen, marking the start of a new academic term. But as classrooms come back to life, parents and students are returning with mixed feelings shaped by rising school fees and a cost of living. Here's Amina Ibrahim will report.
For many families, the new term comes with fresh financial pressure. Education costs in the FCT continue to rise, but some parents says the fee reflects what it now takes to keep school running and maintain learning standard.
The school fee I'm to pay this time, I don't mind because of what I'm gaining and what my children is going to gain from that school, so I don't mind. And actual reason why I prefer the school is because of the standard my children are getting from the school. And we know these children are the futures of tomorrow. If we can strive better to give them the better future, I believe we get the better leaders we are aiming for.
Because not every parent will be able to afford, but it's worth it because the services are quite sometimes better than some of the government schools. I've been around government schools and I've seen good teachers, but the challenge is the supervision is poor. When you go to the private schools, sometimes the teachers are not qualified as the government school teachers, but they have good supervision and the children get good lessons because of the supervision.
Maintaining the school premises and environment alone is a whole lot. The teachers, they will pay transport from wherever they are coming from. It's a whole lot. Waking up very early in the morning just to be in the school premises, just to put, even no matter what they are going through, they have to put it aside and just to put their. So for me, it's not much. It is not that too, it's not too much.
Private school owner says the increase are unaffordable. They point to high staff salaries, electricity bills, security costs, and teaching materials, all driven by inflation.
A school is a big institution with very high expectation, keeping away the cost of running a school. Because in a school, there are daily needs which you have to provide to the students. You have to also provide to the staff. People think the teaching profession is the cheapest paid profession. But so many teachers, especially here in the FCT, have a very high expectation because of what they think or feel the schools are also collecting from parents. So to manage the situation, keeping quality and professional teachers, you have to now weigh between how much do I collect from parents that can help me pay good salaries to the teachers to keep them in the school and also take care of the running costs, the children needs, other welfare of the staff outside their salary. So if you put all these things together, it is going to be on the high. And as a school, except if you want to go bankrupt, some of these costs, there's no option, you just have to push it to the parents. Because we believe at the end, the benefit goes back to them.
The pace material and the tuition fee, because the teachers or the supervisors need to be taken care of so that they can supervise them, in their various learning center for effective productivity in all the learning centers.
For students, however, the focus is not on fees, but on returning to school life. Many are eager to see their friends, resume classes, get back to their routines.
Once I am able to achieve my goals for that term and the next, I feel like I'm doing myself and my parents good by making their money worth it.
The teachers are really good at what they're doing, and the environment is really conducive. As I said earlier, they're really supportive. They don't discriminate us, and they respect our learning paces.
As school reopen across the FCT, parents continue to weigh rising costs against the quality of education, while students begin the term with renewed hopes for the months ahead.
Area of a rectangle is 48.
Amina Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, elsewhere, some students in Jos, the Plateau State capital, are holding back from returning to school despite the government's order. The schools should reopen next week, Monday. They say the problem is simple: no money, no food, so no school. Here's Ado Musa with more on the story.
Across parts of Jos, children in both primary and secondary schools, most of them between 12 and 17 years old, now spend their days at mining sites, digging for minerals to make quick cash. So, even as the state government set Monday as resumption day, many of these children say school will have to wait. Survival comes first. 15-year-old Ismail Abubakar is one of them. He works at a mining site in Jos and says he cannot afford to return to class yet. Life is hard. That is why I come here to mine, so I can get money for food, clothes and other things. I won't resume now, maybe after 2 weeks, when I get money for books, uniform and school materials. For Ismail, going back to school without money means dropping out again. I want to get the money at once so that when I resume, I won't stop again. I want to stay in school and focus on my studies. That is why I am working more now. Other students at the same mining site share his view.
Ana samu a san yadda za a yi a haɗa na littattafan makaranta da na dai sauran abubuwan da bara.
What matters now is getting money for books and food. I'm not thinking about resuming yet. Maybe in a few weeks.
Sai dai nan gaba in Allah ya kai mu gaba dai da mu duba mu gani, amma yanzu cikin mu muke duba. Wai dai sauran lokaci.
We still have some time before school. Our main problem is food. We also need to help our younger ones. Mining is helping us. By God's grace, we will be ready when we go back. So, while many families in Plateau State are preparing their children for Monday's resumption, a growing number of students in Jos remain stuck between the classroom and the mining pit, held back by hunger and rising living costs. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
To Niger State now, with schools reopening in 4 of the 25 local council areas on Monday, parents and educators are raising concerns about the safety of students and the need for stronger security measures. Trust TV's Abubakar Akote has more.
Parents remain worried about continuous disruptions in teaching due to insecurity. Trust TV found that school guards previously provided by PTAs have been disengaged following the current administration's ban on PTA activities, leaving schools without dedicated security personnel. The Commissioner for Basic Education, Dr. Adiza Asabe Mohammed, says local government chairmen have been directed by the governor to recruit community guards to protect schools, though implementation remains unclear as schools resume.
Some schools have to be reopened, but it can't be all. We have to be very mindful of the security of some areas. And that is why the schools now are coming in phases for reopening. We cannot just jump on all our schools and reopen them. We have to go by the security, confirmation, and approval for any school is open.
Out of 45 boarding schools in the state, only 18 have received clearance to resume academic activities, with the rest still awaiting security approval.
We have ever sat discussing on these issues, how we can provide the vigilantes and the other people. If government will reopen our school, we are ready to collaborate with the police that we have at the outskirts here. So join our hands together to see that, yes, we secure that school.
If schools have proper security, any attack will be less severe. With timely intelligence, children could even be evacuated before a threat occurs. Closing schools is not the solution. The government should station security personnel in vulnerable schools so children can continue learning safely. My mind is not at ease because of the risk of kidnapping. How can my children return to school when, as a father, I am still worried about their safety? Parents like Usman Garba Barde, Isaac Ibrahim, and Umar Usman expressed concern, warning that insecurity threatens children's learning and overall development.
The sudden closure of schools towards the time that students were supposed to write exams had an effect on the pupils because there wasn't any contingency plan on how children will move ahead in their home and in schools. But some schools and parents were able to just check the situation, but it's a very small percentage because it was so sudden that nobody expected something like that to happen.
Parents and experts are calling on government to implement permanent and comprehensive security measures, ensuring safe access to quality education across Niger State. Abubakar Akote, Trust TV News, Mina.
Right, switching gears now and talking security. At least 4 people have been confirmed dead following a terrorist attack on Damala village near the Wokodaba mining sector of Wawa community in Niger State. Local sources say the attackers struck at around 8 p.m. on Friday, shooting 4 residents and forcing others to flee the area. The assailants reportedly stole cattle and other livestock while setting fire to homes and places of worship in the area. The disaster officer of Borgu local government area, Musa Saidu, confirmed the fatalities, saying investigations are currently underway. Let's get some more insight now from our correspondent on the ground. Abubakar Akote is joining us via phone from Niger State. Abubakar, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. What more have we learned about this attack?
The Borgu local government, which form parts of Niger North, Central District, has continued to witness attacks from terrorists. After the attack on Kaswanda, where 60 traders lost their lives, residents, attacks have continued since then. The residents alleged that they have not received any security intervention from to protect communities. Many communities many residents have now fled their communities because they feel government is not responding to their problem.
And what can you tell us about the mining activity in that area of Borgu local government area?
Borgu, as like other local government areas in the Niger North Central District, I sent to Agwara, have a mining site, but those are managed by local miners and those are by people suspected foreigners. So mining activity is something that's ongoing, and even though government has announced several times banning the mining activities in the areas that are affected by insecurity, the activities seem to be ongoing, unabated. So residents believe government is not enforcing the ban properly. Just a mere announcement without strict enforcement.
And what is the proximity of the various locations that have been attacked recently in Borgu local government area? Because last week's attack on the market, as well as this week's attack, seem to be quite close to each other in terms of distance. What more can you tell us about the proximity of the areas that have been attacked in Borgu local government area?
The one challenge for the local government has is that local government has a vast forest across length and breadth, and that is stemmed from Kainji National Park, which provides protection or shield for the terrorists each time they attack. So the distance is just some kilometers, even from other communities that have been attacked. Even at the local government, the Papiri that was attacked in November, where over 200 children were kidnapped, shared border with the local government, and also the forest. This forest extends to Agwara. The Kasson Daji that was recently attacked was just some kilometers away from Papiri, but Papiri is under Agwara. So the communities within the stormy axis covered by this forest that provide protection or cover for these terrorists.
Right. And Abubakar, has the security situation changed in those axes, in this particular axis where the attacks have been quite deadly from late last year to early this January?
In terms of security deployment?
Yes, in terms of security deployment.
Yeah, I mean, last week, 3 days ago, I was in talk with the police speaker, and he told me that security personnel were deployed even on the day of attack on Kaswandaji. But to Resident State, they did not see any security intervention. From Kaswandaji and several other communities, residents have currently deserted their community. Some are in Nibusa, some are in Rawa, some are in Bufanti. Many communities are now empty because they say just that the attacks have continued. Security personnel approaches have not been deployed. Although after yesterday night's attack, President told me that some military personnel were deployed briefly to the community, but hours later they left and they have not returned.
All right. Abubakar, thank you so much for the update. I will keep tabs on this development as it continues to unfold. Thank you very much for joining us on the news hour. Our correspondent there, Abubakar Akote, giving us an update on the latest attack in Borgu local government area of Niger State. Moving on, the Plateau State government has announced the rescue of 25 individuals kidnapped on December 21st, 2025 in Wase local government area of the state. The secretary to the state government, Samuel Jato, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the Rayfield Government House in Jos, accompanied by state commissioners and DSS officials. Jato explains that the victims, consisting of 6 females and 19 males, were traveling for Eid al-Mawlud celebrations when kidnappers disguised as vigilantes abducted them. 3 others in the vehicle escaped during the incident. He said the rescued individuals received medical checks and are in good health with only minor injuries. The victims have been handed over to officials from Wase local government area. Jato commended the DSS for their role in the rescue operation and urged the local government to provide psychological support while assuring that the state government will continue to support the victims before they are reunited with their families. In other news, the Nigeria Air Force under Operation Hadinke has recorded a further breakthrough in the ongoing campaign against terrorism in the northeast region. The Nigerian Air Force air assets carried out a well-coordinated air interdiction mission at Agbaja Jiri within the Timbuktu Triangle of Borno State after reliable multi-source intelligence confirmed the presence of terrorist fighters, hideouts and hidden logistic hubs. The Director of Public Relations and Information at the Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, says the operation combined real-time surveillance with accurate and targeted airstrikes on identified locations. He explains that the mission was designed to weaken terrorist capacity, disrupt their supply chains, and clear their safe havens, while fully complying with rules of engagement and the protection of civilians. Responding to the operation, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, described the strike as clear signal of the Nigerian Air Force resolve to control the airspace and back joint military operations, while reaffirming that all NAF missions will continue to be intelligence-led, precise and sustained until terrorist threats are neutralized. To Edo State, where angry youths in Ekpoma, a southwest local government area of the state, have vandalized a 2027 presidential campaign billboard of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during a protest over the abduction and killing of a young man in the area. The victim was kidnapped on January 9th at Ojo Street in Ihumudumu while entering his brother's house and was later killed by his alleged abductors. The protests turned violent as youth lit bonfires, damaging properties, and pulled down the billboard, which was reportedly erected by the Esan West local government chairman and bore the inscription, Asiwaju 2027 is settled. In response to the unrest, the council chairman, Albert Blessing, has imposed a daily ban on both commercial and private motorcycle operations from 7 p.m. across the area with immediate effect. The Edo State government has condemned the protests and the destruction of public and private property, saying security challenges must be handled with calm, coordination, and constructive engagement. The position was contained in a statement by the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Prince Kasim Akpebua. Former Secretary of State Governor and the 12th Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, marked his 60th birthday with a high-level colloquium on Nigeria's future and the state of the nation. Political leaders, elder statesmen, and public figures gathered in Abuja to review the country's democratic path and national direction. Aisha Abdulmumini has more.
The event brought together leading figures from across Nigeria's political and civil space to celebrate the life, service, and public record of Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Beyond the birthday, the occasion was framed as a national conversation with a colloquium focused on the state of the nation, democratic governance, and Nigeria's future. Speakers reflected on Tambuwal's journey from Speaker of House of Representatives to Governor of Sokoto State, noting his role in strengthening parliamentary independence and expanding access to education, healthcare, and infrastructure in Sokoto. They described his leadership as one rooted in consultation, inclusion, and constitutional order.
And I'm indeed happy with the choice of the theme and the lecture for the colloquium, because it is all about the people of this country. It is all about good governance. It is not about me. It is not about merry-making. It is about looking for a pathway for our country. Whether we like it or not, where we are today is unfortunate. This is not where we expected to be.
And I will say, at this point, from what I have seen of you, from what I have heard of you, from what I know of you, the sky is the limit.
Today, we are celebrating the life of a remarkable Nigerian leader, a patriot, and a leader in the making, who I believe are the kind of leaders that we are looking forward to producing in this country.
The normal life of a human being is 80. When you reach 60, you don't take risk again. It's time to reconcile with your enemies, do the right thing, because you don't have room to make amends. Having known Tambuwal, having seen its unity, and what it can do for development, is a man I can tell you that is committed to the unity of this country, to building consensus that we need for national development.
The House of Representatives at that time, when the leadership turnover was so huge, I had a diverse house with people with different political parties, and yet you managed it so skillfully that we didn't hear of attempt to impeach Tambuwal. That shows skill, that shows large heart, that shows capacity in leadership to translate into action the diversity of Nigerians represented in the most populous parliament in Africa.
During his tenure as our Speaker, Honorable Tambol of the 7th Assembly ensured that all the women were assigned prominent roles and positions of either as chairperson of committees or deputies. We were fully engaged, with my humble self serving as the chairperson of Constituency Outreach Committee, even though as a first-time member of the House. Excellency Tambuwal's administration in Sokoto State represents a turning point in the history of Sokoto State through deliberate policies, landmark legislation, bold appointments, etc.
The highlight of the celebration was the 60th birthday colloquium, which featured a panel discussion on Nigeria's democratic future, national cohesion, human security, and economic recovery. Participants warned against the weakening of democratic institutions and called for a return to constitutionalism, rule of law, and accountable leadership as a foundation of national stability. They also stressed the need for leaders to put citizens first, strengthen governance at all levels, and rebuild public trust in the political system. Aisha Abdulmuminu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Tayo Oyedele, has pushed back against concerns raised by KPMG Nigeria over the newly gazetted tax laws, saying most of the issues highlighted stem from misreadings of policy intent or disagreement with deliberate reform choices. Oyedele says while observations by KPMG were helpful, the bulk of the report misrepresented the goals and design of the new tax framework. He clarified key areas, including the taxation of shares, dividend treatment, and non-resident obligations, noting that most investors will benefit from exceptions and reliefs provided under the law. He added that provisions on indirect shares transfers, insurance premium exemptions, and foreign exchange rules were deliberate policy decisions aligned with global practice and the government's fiscal targets. Dismissing fears of market disruption, Oyedele says concerns around dividend tax and small company exemptions were either intentional or existed before the new laws. He also said minor clerical issues are being handled through administrative guidance. Oyedele maintained that the tax reforms are designed to boost fairness, competitiveness, and revenue, and reflect clear policy choices rather than errors or oversight. Rural farmers in Niger State are voicing anger over what they describe as mass arrest by creditors over unpaid loans, even as food prices continue to slide. For many farmers, this year's bumper harvest has turned into a financial trap with low market prices, making it hard to repay loans they took to plant their crops. Trust TV's Abubakar Akote tells us more.
Instead of celebrating a fruitful season, farmers face mounting financial pressure as the continuous drop in the price of food produce threatens their livelihoods. Many borrowed from banks, cooperatives, and local lenders, but with prices falling, repayment has become a heavy burden. Some of the farmers who spoke to Trust TV on the challenges highlighted the impact on families, food security, and the future of agriculture in the state. Many of us now face cases in courts and police stations over unpaid loans. We were giving input loans, especially for fertilizer at high cost. Meanwhile, price of farm produce are very low. For example, 100 tubers of yam, known as korea, now sell for only 10,000 naira, while a bag of fertilizer costs 60,000 naira. Because of this debt burden, many farmers cannot afford even basic plans like going on arch.
Farming is a business. For now, farmers are running at loss. What is happening? They are running at loss. Where most of them go into loan, and they cannot be able to pay their money back to, because they are running at loss. There is no how they can be able to pay it, because they go into loan, they borrow money. After farming now, they cannot be able to pay it back. A bag of rice is almost 30,000 naira. 28,000 and 25,000 naira. How can we be able to go to the farm? And the Basum government, at least they should try to subsidize fertilizers, chemicals.
I was able to get married, but 5 of my siblings who also plan to marry have not. Price of farm produce have dropped, while the cost of materials like zinc and nails is high. We have had to sell our farm produce to pay loans, leaving our construction and marriage plans unfinished. I am seriously affected. I plan to complete a house I started last year, but the low price of produce have ruined that plan. Many farmers in my village have been arrested over unpaid loans, not because they refuse to pay, but because falling food prices make repayment impossible. This is the first time creditors are taking such action. An agribusiness expert with Family and Care Farm, Germany, Professor Olalekan Shakaria, urged the Nigerian government to prioritize local food production. Farmers are calling for policies that balance consumer protection with support for local producers to encourage sustainable agriculture and protect livelihoods. Trust TV's Abubakar Akote reports from Niger State.
You're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Still to come. All coins, banknotes turned into a lucrative business in Lagos. We'll tell you why after the break. Welcome back to the news hour. Let's take another look at our top stories. Student safety fears rise as schools reopen across the country under economic pressure. Tax Committee Chair fires back at KPMG Nigeria over gazetted tax law claims. Doctors in Ondo State, under the Association of Resident Doctors at the Federal Medical Center, OWO, urging the federal government to act fast to avert a crisis in healthcare delivery. The group says it is ready to join the nationwide strike set to begin on Monday, following the directive by the National Association of Resident Doctors, which is demanding full implementation of agreed terms. The planned action comes after the government failed to honor a memorandum of understanding signed with the president of the Doctors Association back in November of last year. In a statement on Saturday, the association's chairman, Dada Tosin, said the decision followed an emergency meeting, adding that the Resident Doctors Association had given the government a 4-week deadline, which expired without any meaningful response. The association listed poor welfare, unpaid arrears, and training-related issues as key concerns and reaffirmed its solidarity with the National Association of Resident Doctors in defending the rights and professional dignity of resident doctors. In a related development, the National Association of Resident Doctors at the University of Port Harcourt has thrown its weight behind the national body in demanding a full implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the federal government, warning that a nationwide strike could go ahead despite a court order. The Memorandum of Understanding, based on NARD's 19-point demands, covers welfare, pay, professional issues affecting resident doctors across the country. On Friday, the National Industrial Code issued an order restraining the union from striking after a motion by the federal government. However, the resident doctors in Uniport, under the leadership of Dr. Ezinne Kalu, said government feedback so far shows key issues are still unresolved, including salary arrears, delayed promotions, partial payment of allowances, and stalled pension and infrastructure commitments. The council warns that failure to act could trigger an indefinite strike from Monday, January 12th, and has directed members nationwide to withdraw their services and stage coordinated peaceful protests until their demands are met. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has forecast sunny and hazy conditions across large parts of the country, particularly in the northern region. The Harmattan season, characterized by cold, dry and dust-laden winds, is already disrupting daily activities and raising health concerns. Abdulaziz Ibrahim reports from Kano, where residents woke up to a thick blanket of dust on Saturday morning.
Kano metropolis was shrouded in thick dust and biting cold as residents experienced the sudden onset of the Harmattan season. Major roads, usually busy in the early hours of the day, appeared unusually quiet as business activities started slowly. For many residents, the harsh weather forced changes to daily routines as commuters and traders struggled to cope with the cold and the dusty conditions. I came out at 6 a.m., but I noticed that those who are usually out by that time were not. They only started coming out between 9 and 10 a.m. We are here at our marketplace, unsure whether we will make any business today. This morning we woke up to very cold weather. Many people stayed indoors and were unable to come out. I came out though not prepared with the right clothing because it was unexpected. Health experts caution that the cold and dusty conditions can trigger asthma attacks, cough, catarrh, chest infections and eye irritation.
People should try to avoid any unnecessary outdoor activities for now because of the harsh weather. As long as you don't have any necessary thing to do, you can stay indoors or try to wear protective clothing such as maybe scarves, sweaters and socks and all other protective clothing that can help you to maintain your higher body temperature as opposed to the low environmental temperature, which can expose you to hypothermia.
Meteorologists say the dry winds blowing from the Sahara Desert may persist in coming days. As the Harmattan settles across Nigeria, residents are advised to stay informed through weather updates and seek medical attention when necessary. Though its late arrival may have caught many off guard in Kano, the impact of the Harmattan is already being felt in homes, businesses and transportation. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, a fire has ravaged a section of the Wukari local government area secretariat in Taraba State, destroying property worth billions of naira and halting administrative operations. Wukari local government area chairman Bala Hussaini confirmed this development, saying the fire erupted shortly after he left the office for engagement. It was later alerted by security officers from the Taraba State Security Marshal. Initial firefighting efforts were hampered as the Federal University Wukari Fire Service could not offer assistance to curtail the blaze. The fire was finally contained through the combined efforts of council staff and other eyewitnesses. Most administrative buildings were damaged by the fire, with only parts of the chairman's office spared. No casualty was reported. The cause of the fire remains unknown as investigations continue. A committee has been established to assess the full extent of the damage and determine the circumstances that led to the fire incident.
This Wukari local government right now is on fire. Wukari local government secretariat, it caught fire and it is burning down.
To Lagos now, where the State Environmental Task Force has arrested 56 suspects during an overnight cleanup and enforcement operation on the mainland. The development was shared in a video by the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab. According to the Commissioner, the operation started at around 12:20 a.m. on January 10 as part of the task force's ongoing efforts to combat criminal activities and environmental violations across the state. The team focused on Sele bus stop, clearing the area of illegal activities and obstructions to free movement. Chairs, tables and other items encroaching on the roadway were seized to restore traffic flow. All 56 suspects have been detained and are expected to be arraigned in court. The Commissioner says the operation is part of a continuous statewide cleanup to maintain environmental order and ensure public safety. Staying in Lagos, severe traffic gridlock hit the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway on Saturday morning following a truck accident that blocked part of the road. The incident occurred early near Ogere Bridge, disrupting vehicles headed towards Ibadan, Sapade, Alapako and neighboring communities in the area. Motorists were forced to divert to opposite lanes, causing heavy jam on the Lagos-bound carriageway and affecting movement towards Mowe, Ibafo and surrounding areas. The truck is reported to have toppled late Friday night, but congestion intensified as morning traffic volume increased on Saturday. Personnel from the Nigeria Police Force and the Federal Road Safety Corps were deployed to manage the traffic and restore free flow. Officials say a mechanical fault caused the accident and efforts were ongoing to clear the obstruction and reopen at least one lane to alleviate motorist hardship. Now, old and foreign currencies once left forgotten or discarded are now fetching huge prices for above their original face value. In Lagos, many Nigerians have turned the trade in obsolete coins and banknotes into a steady source of income, catering to collectors and dealers seeking rare pieces. Here's the report.
At the Moshalashi Alaja area of Agege in Lagos State, beneath a pedestrian bridge, trays of old currencies ranging from coins to banknotes from different countries are neatly displayed. These obsolete currencies attract passers-by, collectors and individuals who understand their cultural and historical value, often purchasing them for ceremonial and traditional purposes. Most of these traders dealing in old foreign and local currencies are from the northern part of the country. Despite their discontinued status, the traders have embraced the business as a major source of livelihood. Beyond old coins and banknotes, they also sell white cowries and empty white shells, commonly used for decoration, cultural tradition, and spiritual practices. The traders say sales mainly occur from Monday to Wednesday, although the items are displayed from Monday to Saturday. They do not operate on Sundays. Speaking to Trust Television, the dealers described the trade as lucrative, noting that they can make up to 10,000 naira daily. They added that business is usually slow at the beginning of the year, with peak periods during the middle of the year and election seasons when demand and prices increases.
500 naira they are selling. Yes. This one, 20 naira. They are selling 500 naira again. This one is Indian money. They are selling 2,000 naira. They sell it 1.5.
This one we are selling this morning. Singapore, 10 cents for Singapore, 500 naira. We are selling now. This odd currency for the Canada, we are selling it 1,000 naira.
This one, 500. This one, 200. This one, 300.
Traders say they source old coins and banknotes from people who no longer value them, reselling to collectors and researchers who understand their historical, cultural, and ceremonial significance. Some of these currencies have become valuable assets, while others are displayed to educate younger generations and preserve Nigeria's economic and cultural history. They revealed that some Nigerian coins, especially those from 1975, are now very rare, having been converted into other products due to the valuable metallic content. With technological advancements, dealers believe obsolete coins and banknotes will continue to gain value, predicting that what seems worthless today could become a prized asset worth millions in the future.
To politics now, where the Abure-led faction of the Labour Party says the recent statement by the Independent National Electoral Commission on the withholding of access codes ahead of the February 18, 2026 FCT Area Council elections has nothing to do with the party's leadership. In a statement issued on Saturday, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, says the statement by INEC was merely explaining the judicial processes surrounding the election and the Commission's decision to await the conclusion of pending court cases before releasing the access codes. The faction accused former Senator and suspended party member Darlington Nwokocha of impersonation and deliberately misrepresenting INEC's position, alleging that he claims to falsely speak for the non-existent caretaker committee. The Abure-led faction emphasized that under the new INEC leadership, the Commission has regularized its relationship with the Labour Party under Abure, inviting its leadership to the quarterly consultative meetings, issuing access codes for Ekiti and Osun governorship election, and monitoring the party's NEC meetings and congresses across the country. The Adamawa State government has released the detailed breakdown of its 2026 approved budget, highlighting priority sectors aimed at driving sustainable growth and economic renewal. The Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Anthony Peridimso, made the announcement during a press briefing in Yola, the state capital. Trust TV's Gibson Swadigo has more.
The 2026 appropriation law tacked the budget of sustainable growth and economic renewal, builds on the administration's achievements and focuses on strategic investments in education, healthcare, agriculture, water supply, and critical infrastructure, while ensuring transparency and accountability in public spending.
We are introducing e-budgeting, which will reduce the usual preparation of budget on hard copies to the use of CD plates and flash drives. This is intended to cut costs to enable funds to be allocated to the developmental and social programs that will benefit the people.
Key beneficiaries include the Ministry of Works and Energy Development, Education and Human Capital Development, Health and Human Services, and Housing and Urban Development. The Commissioner also highlighted that in 2026, capital expenditure accounted for over 70% of the budget, reflecting the government's strong focus on development.
Our internally generated revenue is projected 24.5 billion. We are able to realize 10.7 billion, representing 43.81%. Capital receipts, that is internally stroke externally, we projected 175.2 billion in the last fiscal year, and we were able to generate 12.6 billion, that is 7.2%.
The 2026 budget aims to drive sustainable growth while promoting effective and accountable use of public funds across Adamawa State. Gibson Soaduko, Trust TV News, Yola.
And in business, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has opposed the continued importation of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, into the country. The association also distanced itself from reports linking the surge in petrol imports back in November of 2025 to a breakdown in supply arrangement between Dangote Refinery and petroleum marketers, calling the claims inaccurate and misleading. IPMAN says the commencement of supply from Dangote Refinery has significantly improved product availability across the nation. Speaking on the issue, the national president, Abubakar Megandi, stated that marketers fully support the refinery and consistently lift products without complaints. He added that continued importation has become unnecessary as Dangote Refinery has capacity to meet Nigeria's entire petrol demand. Direct delivery to filling stations, he said is critical to stabilizing distribution, easing supply pressures, and benefiting consumers. Ipman says it is committed to domestic refining as a sustainable solution for Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector. And outside of Nigeria, the United Nations says 53 Congolese refugees have died in neighboring Burundi after fleeing fighting in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, 25 deaths were recorded by a cholera outbreak, while 6 others resulted from anemia and complications linked to malnutrition. Investigations are ongoing into the remaining deaths. More than 100,000 Congolese have sought refuge in Burundi since early December, following rebel seizure of the border town of Uvira. Authorities in eastern Congo have described the situation as, quote, misery and a forgotten crisis, while the Congolese government says it is providing food, medicines, and other relief to displaced citizens. Efforts by Burundi's refugee office to comment on the situation have so far been unsuccessful. Let's get the very latest in sports with Adeni Ajishafe.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria are through to the semi-finals of 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after securing a dominant 2-0 win over Algeria in their quarter-final match at the Stade de Marrakech in Morocco. Nigeria had an early chance to go ahead when Shemi Ajayi's header went over the bar. Minutes later, Lookman's corner kick to Osimhen went wide before Frank Onyeka's goal-bound shot blocked as Nigeria continued possession in the first 10 minutes. Ademola Lookman came close to breaking the deadlock in the 23rd minute as Nigeria goalie Zidane saved the shot. The Super Eagles finally broke the deadlock 2 minutes into the second half when Bruno Yemichi's brilliant cross headed in clinically by Victor Osimhen to end a lead. Minutes later, Akpo Adams made up for his early miss, making it 2-0 after Iwobi found Osimhen with a pass before the Galatasaray striker selfishly teed up Adam, who dribbled past Zidane to score Nigeria's second goal. Akpo Adams came close to netting a brace in the 81st minute after Osimhen found the Sevilla player with a cross, with his header hitting the woodwork. Algeria pushed for a goal in the final minutes to set up a dramatic finish, while Eric Chel's side head on to secure victory. Super Eagles have won all 5 games played in the tourney as they face host Morocco in the semi-final on 14th January at Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Congratulations to the Eagles. Well, before we go, on a lighter note, the Commander, 6th Brigade Nigerian Army and Sector 3 Operation World Struck, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa has paid a solidarity visit to Regimental Sergeant Major Wesley Tafida, a World War II veteran and father of retired Major General H.T. Wesley. The visit highlighted the sacrifices of the 106-year-old veteran who served between 1944 and 1945 as a courier conveying arms and ammunition during the war. RASM Tafida, who was later discharged from the 1993 Mechanized Infantry Battalion, Ojo Cantonment, after 7 years of service, commended the commander for his commitment to securing Taraba State. Brigadier General Uwa described the visit as part of the Nigerian Army's tradition of honoring veterans, while reaffirming the military's resolve to defeat insecurity despite emerging threats. He also assured the veteran of victory against insecurity as he departed the residence in Jalingo. Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, Richard Felangwa, praised the commander's leadership, noting that his efforts have restored public confidence and strengthened security vigilance across the country. The epitome of the expression, "Old soldier never dies." Well, that is our offering for you on the News Hour tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Do well to stay in touch. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms. You can also visit our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news stories. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us and good night.